everybody, it's Teresa. Welcome to my channel. I'm going to make a necklace today with some Jesse James beads, the Magical Mystery Bead Box. I've got these beads. I've taken the mixes apart, the strands apart, and got them all mixed up with the mixes, and I had to go back and look at my own video to figure out which beads come from which strands and which mixes so I could tell y'all. These beads were from the Stone Walkway Rose Quartz strand. The beads and the spacers in there, and there's a couple of bead caps. And these beads were from the Bluebird's Songs mix. These two cube beads were from the Best Buds mix, and these were all in the most recent Jesse James Beads Magical Mystery Bead Box, the Songs of Spring, I think it was called. I don't have my card in front of me, but I think it was. And these are from a couple of connectors that were from the February Jesse James box called Pirate Getaway. They were in the Night at Port Royal component mix, I think it was called. These are some spacers I got from my stash. These are some findings. I have a lobster clasp and a couple pieces of chain, an extender chain, some jump rings, 2 wire guardians, 2 2x2 crimp tubes. I didn't have anything left to make a little dangle off the end of my extender chain, so I got a little pink rondelle that I had in my stash that I'm going to do that with. And then I have a ball head pin in there to do that with. I used the Beadalon crimp tubes. I have my Soft Flex beading wire and fine. This is 21 strand. I have my bead stoppers. I have my chain nose pliers and my tweezer pliers. The tweezer pliers are Xuron. I have my round nose pliers. I got those from Babycraft many years ago. And I have my crimping pliers. They're to Beadalon. I have both pairs of my bent chain nose pliers. These I got from Babycraft many years ago, and these are the new little glitter line ones I got. And I have both pairs of my cutters. They're Xuron, and I use one pair for bead stringing wire and the other pair to cut head pins and eye pins and craft wire. And I have my little New Orleans shot glass to put my wires that I cut off in. I'll only need that when I do the dangle off the end of the extender chain. As many as I can find, I'll put links for all the stuff I'm using in the description box below. So I think that's everything. Hold on, I'll get some of this out of the way and I'll be back. Okay, I've got my bead support out here, and I've got my bead stringing wire still attached to the spool like I do. We'll start out with 3 of these little tiny rondelle beads. And I've got some little bitty rhinestone spacers that I had in my stash. I'm going to put between them. So that's what I got now. And now I'm going to put these rose quartz rondelles, and I'm going to put the spacer, one of the rhinestone spacers that came in the box, and another rose quartz rondelle, and another one of the spacers that came in the box. And now I'm going to put 2 of these. I don't know if they're English cut or not. They got a lot of little facets on them. I'm going to put those on here, 2 of those. And I'm going to do this spacer. And then I'm going to do one of these pretty faceted pink beads. And then I'm going to do one of these spacers. And then I'm going to do one of my cube beads. And then I'm going to do a spacer, a rhinestone spacer from my stash. It's a little bit bigger than those little tiny ones. And then I'm going to do another one of these. Then I'm going to do a bead cap facing that way. And I'm going to do all 4 of my round rose quartz beads. Now I'm almost certain it's got a hole in it. There we go. These holes are trying to hide on me today. And I'm going to do another bead cap. So that's what I got there. That's going to be the center point of my necklace. And now I'm going to do another one of these beads. A spacer from my stash. My cube bead. Another one of these spacers. Another one of these beads. Another one of these spacers here. Two of these that I don't know if they're English cut or not. One of the rhinestone spacers that came in the box. A rondelle. Another rhinestone spacer that came in the box. Another rondelle. One of my little bitty spacers that I got out of my stash. One of the tiny rondelles. Another little spacer. Another tiny rondelle. Another little spacer. And another tiny rondelle. So, let me see. That's what I've got so far. So now I'm going to get my crimp beads and get ready to crimp. Okay, now I'm going to crimp. I'm going to take my crimp tube and I'm going to put it on here. And put my wire guardian on. And move this down a little. I'm going to take my wire and go back through the other channel of the wire guardian. And back through my crimp tube. I hold my wires apart to keep them from getting crossed. I'm going to take my crimping pliers and go in that second part there that has the half circle on one side and the notch on the other side. I'm going to lay my crimp in there. Make sure there's no wire coming out this top part here. I'm going to squeeze. And that puts each little wire in its own little channel of the crimp tube there. Now I'm going to go into the top part that just has the little half circles on each side and lay my crimp in there. Squeeze to fold my crimp. Now I'm going to tug. That's good. So now I'm going to take my cutters, cut off my extra wire. Now I'm going to push all this down and cut it off my spool. I'll take my other crimp tube, my other wire guardian, go back through the other side of my wire guardian, back through my crimp tube, and I always go through an extra bead or two on this side to get my hands out of the way. I'm going to hold onto my wire guardian, pull my wire through, make sure my wires don't get crossed. And I want to make sure there's no slack in my piece, but I don't want it to be too tight, because if it's too tight it won't drape well. I'm going to tuck my little wire guardian in over here. That other one was, I might have tried to use it in another project and it was already tucked in. Now I'm going to go into that second part of the crimping pliers again like I did before. I'm going to lay my crimp in there. I'm going to squeeze. I'm going to turn it. Go into the top part. Lay my crimp in there. Squeeze and fold my crimp. I'm going to tug. That's good. Now I'm going to cut off. Okay, so that's what I've got. Now I'm going to get my bindings together and I'll be back. Okay, I'm going to put this together now, and y'all might notice I've got some different chain here than I had out when I first started. I measured wrong or something when I started this. I had way too, not nearly enough chain. It was going to be way too short. We can't have me making a necklace that's way too short. So now it'll probably turn out to be way too long, but we'll see here. So I've got a 4mm jump ring here. And I'm going to put one end of my necklace on it. And I'm going to put my little connector here. This will go through here. I know it will. I feel confident that it will. There we go. Close it up there. Get it closed up really well. I'm going to do the same thing on this other side. Okay, now I'm going to take another 4mm jump ring. Put it on this side. Put my chain on. These are about 4-inch pieces of chain. Close my jump ring up. And take another 4mm jump ring. These little 4mm jump rings just seem like they always want to jump right out of my hands. I'll put my other piece of chain on here. Well, I had it on there and now it came off. Probably should have used a 6mm jump ring here. It would have been easier. Okay, there we go. Now, I'm going to take my 6mm jump ring. I'm going to put it on this end of my chain and my lobster. And now I've got an 8mm jump ring I'm going to put over here. And I'm going to put my extender chain. This is about 2 inches of extender chain. Okay, there we go. Okay, now I'm going to get my stuff here together and make a little dangle to go on the extender chain. Okay, now I'm going to make a little dangle to go on my extender chain. So I got my ball head pin here and I got a little pink rondelle that I had in my stash. And I'm going to take my pliers here and go to the tip of the pliers. Bend at a 90-degree angle. Put my round nose pliers in the crook of the bend. Round nose pliers facing me. Bend the wire back till it hits the bead. Rotate the pliers till they're facing the table. Hold really tight and bring this part up and under here till it hits the bottom of the tool. Cock it back until the loop is centered over the bead. I'm going to take my bent chain nose pliers, hold my loop. I hold it really tight so my loop doesn't get out of shape. I'm going to take my other pair of bent chain nose pliers and start wrapping. Get that first wrap really tight. Then just keep wrapping until there's no more room to wrap. Now I'm going to take my cutters, cut off my extra wire. I'm going to take my crimping pliers and go in that top part that has the little loop on each, little circle on each side, and tuck in the little burr that's left where I cut off my wire. Now I'm I'm just going to take the end of my extender chain here and open it. Thread on my little dangle. That. So I'll get everything cleaned up here and I'll be back in a minute. There we go. There's my necklace made with some of the contents of the last two Jesse James Magical Mystery Bead boxes. I confess I have a little bit of a difficult time figuring out what to do with these beads. They're a little different than the beads I'm normally used to working with. I hope you all have enjoyed this video. As always, thank you so much for joining me today. I really appreciate those of you who have subscribed to my channel and watched my videos and liked and commented on my videos. I have a website where I sell my jewelry. It's Teresa's Handmade Jewelry, and I'll put a link to it in the description box below in case you're interested, along with a link to my Facebook and Instagram and my email. If you haven't, I'd really love it if you'd subscribe and hit the notification bell so you're notified when I upload a new video. So until next time, I hope y'all have a great day. Take care.
Thank you.